Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about switching jobs. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, "Hi Frederick, I would appreciate if you could help me make a decision. Should I stick with my current job and slowly lose hope of ever working as a developer? Or quit and start giving interviews. Some context: I graduated this year in July, interned for 6 months at a software company where I was working on tools in the company's cloud platform. I did very little development then. Following the internship and another 6 months of contractual work, I'm being offered a position in the customer success slash DevOps team. I have made it clear that my intentions are to work as a developer, but I'm afraid if I accept this role, I'll probably never be able to join a development team." Well, the simple answer here is that you need to think about your position pretty much. If you feel that you might get stuck here, it might be a good idea for you to look around a little bit. But at the same time, I don't think that you should be so concerned with that you're taking a job that is not specifically related to software development. I have coworkers, and some of them fairly senior, and I think one of them is probably the most experienced, one of the most experienced developers that I've worked with, who started out with other things than programming. You know, I know there is this popular idea that if you, I don't know, if you work in a fast food restaurant and then you take a position in a place of work where you might do something more advanced, that's somehow going to damage you because, well, I don't know, you magically just were born into the role that you're taking on now. And that's it might be a factor in some parts of the world. It's a very silly thing, I think, and it doesn't really have any bearing on whether or not you're going to do a good job in the thing that you're trying to do now. And the people that I worked with, they worked as everything from quality assurance personnel to journalists, and one of them used to be a pilot. So like, it's not that you have to that you have to go straight into software development if you don't want to. I think that you should really think about whether or not you need this job. That's the thing that you should really consider. Because at the end of the day, guys, a job is just a job. You can switch jobs literally whenever you want. It really is a matter of, are you willing to make the investment that is required in order for you to make that switch? There are, of course, things such as age and location and other factors that play in here, but fundamentally, that is the only problem you really face. One thing I can tell you, and this is a little bit of old man experience, that hopefully will get you into, well, to get you to think about the right thing here, and that is that there's a lot of people who have a ambition or a dream or something they want to do, and along the way they get an opportunity that is easier, it's more convenient, it's something that for the moment is the right thing, and then you try that thing out and you realize that it's actually more convenient to you to do the thing that you're doing rather than try to chase the thing that you were dreaming about doing. And there's nothing wrong with figuring out that, hey, you know what, let's say for the sake of argument that you take this job and then you realize that, hey, it's actually pretty decent to just have something to do, like you enjoy your work, or you like working with your coworkers, or the money's good, whatever, right? And you decide to stay here instead of trying to make this a temporary thing. And that is something that can very much happen. It can also, of course, be the fact that it is a temporary thing. It's just that it's a very long temporary thing. I've seen people who are in their 40s and 50s who decide later on that, "Oh, you know what, I actually made a really big I paused for a very long time in the role that I have now, and now I'm ready to take the next step. But then, of course, you have other consider. Usually, by that time, you usually have other things to consider, such as family, mortgages, etc., etc. Your life continues developing, even if your career may not, and that is a. It's not a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing depending on the sort of person you are. You can at some point get to that point where you start thinking that I compromised on my dreams, or I didn't really push it as much as I could, and so forth. And you will come, I promise you, it's something that may or may not come and, well, affect you mentally. It could be something that causes a bit of depression on your side, but it could also not. It depends on you and the way that you look at things. So I just want to put that out there so that you are aware of that. I I personally know more than a few friends who did exactly this thing. They had dreams, ambitions, etc., etc., but because of reasons, it was a little bit more difficult to follow those things, and something was more close at hand, and they chose the safer path, which ended up with them staying there. They've been doing that thing for, well, it has to be at least 10, 15 years now, and it's only now when they're sort of realizing that, you know what, I've been doing this for long enough and I've sort of stabilized, that I'm going to take the next step. And the same thing can be true for you, but at the same time, it's really up to you whether or not this is important to you. Nobody's going to judge you for sticking with this job, and if you feel that there's not that much risk with you staying there forever, well, then there's no real reason to not take this job and make it a temporary thing. So what I want you to take away from this is that I can't make the decision for you. I think that you have to think about your own position. If you are in desperate need of money or employment, or for whatever reason you need something right here, right now, then this job might be perfect, even though it may not be a full-time developer job, because you can always transition into development at a later stage. It really comes down to how well you know the skills of the trade. And that's something that you can get regardless of what your first job looks like. Guys, I used to work as a mover. I moved furniture before I became a programmer. So it's not like we're born into the role of being programmers. You can adopt it just as anybody. And I think that you should have the same mindset. The thing that you should be aware of is that it's very easy to become complacent. And if something is easy, it might give you a lot of incentive to just stick with it rather than do that a little bit scarier or riskier thing that is the thing that you really want. There's no shame in that. You just be aware of it, that your temporary 6 month plan or 1 year plan can turn into a 10-year plan if you let it. Have a great day.